So in prison, when I first went in, my goal was to become a prison shot caller and to be respected in that world. And it was specifically driven by all of the pain that I was experiencing within. It was how I was able to deal with it and to cope with it was through doing that criminality that I was doing, because I wasn't using drugs in prison. I wasn't doing any of that because in my world in prison, drugs were looked at as negative if you did drugs. So the only way I could release these feelings of pain and the trauma was through more violent acts. So that was my identity. And a part of that was getting other people and manipulating other people to do things. And young guys come on the prison yard and teaching them things that were negative instead of positive. And so it's very common in prison for people to be like that because this is your reality. So when I was taken away from that and placed into solitary confinement, and I had to confront everything, like all the things that I was running and masking on the prison yard, I had to confront that by myself. The idea of that and the feeling experience of that, it would force me to have to address myself and work on myself, because I was at rock bottom and there was only one place for me to go, and that was up. I couldn't get any lower than that. And so for me, it took for me to get there, to get to that state, that rock bottom, to me to identify all of the stuff that I was going through and experience to then grow from. And that was through reading and analyzing my life and reflecting on where I had come from, and then figuring out why I was the way I was. All that happened in solitary. And through that process, through the help of the chaplain who brought me the Bible that I first started to read, and then the correctional guard that brought me the books, through these mentors, they didn't even come in as mentors, but that's what they did. They became my mentors. They provided me more mentorship that came through the books that I was reading. And by me challenging my old belief systems, because I knew it led me nowhere good, it led me to solitary confinement and all the other things that I had experienced, which wasn't good. It didn't have a good feeling attached to it. Once I was able to challenge that through what I was learning, I started to have realizations and breakthroughs and what people call aha moments, where it was like, well, that's why I have nightmares every night, because I witnessed my best friend kill himself and I developed PTSD. So no wonder I have feelings of guilt and shame, because that's what I read in this book. And this person had the same experience. So it made sense. And then I started to empathize with my younger self, my past self, because I realized that, man, I was going through life and I wasn't healed. I was bringing with a lot of pain, like so many in prison do. And at that point, I realized that I was going to take responsibility for my life. I was going to take accountability, and I was going to start doing things different and start to apply the law of replacement, which is replacing old negative behaviors with good ones. And so instead of consuming negative things or hearing negative things on the yard, I consumed positive things and read positive books and went and found people on the yard that had a positive perspective on life. So and that takes an intention, that takes actual steps that you have to make in your life to start shifting out of that negative way of thinking into a positive one. It just doesn't happen. It just doesn't appear overnight, especially in prison where it's so much negativity in that world. It just doesn't appear. So you have to actually seek that. And maybe your only option is a book, but that's a start. That's a powerful start. Maybe after that, you have an option to find somebody else on the yard that you can connect with too. And when you do that, that's taking responsibility, because you're taking action toward doing something different. Instead of going to the prison yard and walking laps with that guy talking about how you're going to get your next hit of weed, maybe you should go to the law library and start to study and figure out the laws and how you can get out of there. Once you do that, you've taken responsibility and you're on the right path. And if you do that at scale, you'll truly transform and get to a point where you become a new identity.